Hey there, Postal here. So today we are taking out the J7W2. This is the Tier 9 Jawa. Funnily enough, this line is actually on discount right now. Tier 8, 9, and 10, this is Tier 9 again. They are 30% off. Tier 2 through 7 is 50% off. So if you are going down the Tier 2 through 7, keep in mind, it's basically the Zero Fighters. If you're going down this line, now's the time to really continue the grind. Push as hard as you can. If you're not going down this line but have been thinking about it, well, now's the time to stop thinking about it and to do it. It's a lot of credits you can save. Alright, 2 bombs away. Probably won't actually flip that sector, but it'll help. Stupid Postal is first into the sector, because that's what I do. Fortunately, they're pulling me up a little bit higher than I want to actually go. And doubly unfortunately, my aiming sucks. There we go. F2H is going to frickin' own me in the face. F2G. Why you would go head on versus me, but okay. Unless you're setting me up for that F2H. Go. Got my engine knocked out, unfortunately. Dang it. Not doing very well with the old aiming right now. Spear gunner's gonna kill me. See if I can get down low enough. Get away, get away, get away. Get some HP back. Can I get some HP back? Never a good idea to be first into a sector. Look, the air defense aircraft's back. That's pretty funny. That's how long it's taken us to get this sector. Got our HP back though, so let's get our boost on. Now we don't care. We can get this guy. You know, if I actually hit my shots. So I've got 30mm cannons on here, right? As anybody would. This plane hits really, really hard. This is basically, think of it like a ME-262 HG2 on a much slower, much more maneuverable platform. That's what this plane is. I guess just 1 bomb is all we're going to be sending. Ow, guns! Let's go ahead and... Thank you, finally. Come on, can we sync up with our guns here? Can we show just how much power these guns have, or am I going to keep dicking around? Crap. Alright, let's crap. Let's see what we can do here. I'm actually going to go over to the mining facility. What are we up against? A bunch of bots, right? Well, that's actually kind of good. So yeah, let's go over to the mining facility. And... dang it. Alright, so let's hang out here for a little while. I'd like to go to the military base. But... like to get this freaking mining facility taken care of. So much that you want to do, you don't necessarily have the ability to do it. Thank you. SU-9 definitely is a scary plane to go head-on versus. It's not necessarily recommended, but I didn't feel like me trying to turn was going to really help in that kind of situation, considering his cannons. So we definitely have high damage output here. It's just making sure you're aiming further out, right? When in doubt, aim further out, otherwise you will be missing your shots and be incredibly frustrated by this plane, as you would be with any plane that has 30mm, or nothing but 30mm cannons, I should say. I believe we need to get the hell over here. Let's go defend this sector really, really quick. If we can. Definitely up higher than we want to be. Let's get these GAs knocked out. See what we can do. Now this plane does tear through ground attack planes. It does actually tear through everything when you're hitting your shots. And so ground attack planes are actually quite a fun and or easy plane type to kill with this plane. Let's see if I can. Well, I've already kind of lost a lot of damage anyway. But they lose a lot of damage when they go up against this plane, right? Alright, got ourselves our Lambert, which didn't even feel like we were really trying there, did it? Just kind of looked and said, okay, well, we needed to get some defense. We've captured some captures. So let's head on back to the center. I didn't mention it earlier, but yeah, I'm actually trying to get my Lambert so I can get the A6M5 pilot. Akira, can't remember her last name. So let's head back to the center here. Kind of not trying to overdo it, considering we're definitely owning. We're going against all bots. We are definitely owning the interaction, so I don't want to, literally don't want to overdo it and get air supremacy. Go. Cannons hitting hard, baby. So we definitely don't want to be dying here now that there's no squall lines here. Let's see what we can do versus PvP. Dang you, 30s. Gotta start firing a little bit early with the 30mm cannons, and they still don't hit. There we go, finally. There we go. All kinds of fun going on here. So now we're just going to guard the center, because we can do that pretty easily with this plane. It is incredibly maneuverable for a multi-role. Remember, it's not... If this was a human key 94 that I was going against all those times, I'd be dead, probably, right? You need to be mindful, at least if we ever got into a dogfight. This will totally tear up a plane going head-on versus it, as you saw versus even the SU-9. It'll definitely kill a Key 94 Mark II going head-on. But if it gets past you, then you're dead because it'll, it'll just turn around, completely own you. Just because you can turn really, really well for a multi-role does not mean you can turn really well for a light fighter. So keep that in mind. Speaking of Key 94s, let's see what we can do here. Gonna get the mining facility shortly. Aiming pretty far out. Overheated guns, tap, tap, tap. Got ourselves a Kozadub even. I feel like I'm not even doing anything. I feel like I'm actually having a poor game. And I think it's partially because, it only takes a couple good hits. You've got 4 30mm cannons. It only takes a couple good hits to really, own another airplane in this game. And because of that, it really doesn't feel like I'm doing a whole lot, but clearly having a huge impact on the game. Let's head on back. Alright, so we were able to get our Lambert, which completed the mission for our pilot. We'll check in on that in just a second. We had 15 kills there, only 16 critical damage, but, did a lot of damage, obviously. A lot of crits. Only dropped our bombs once, I believe, and still did 10,000 ground damage, so obviously, but I keep the bombs on here just because, you're a multi-role, right? You want to be able to use your multiness and own a sector, basically, or flip a sector, defend a sector, whatever you need to do, and those bombs will help you flip sectors. Yeah, all bots. So take advantage of an all bot type of situation. I did get lucky there going head on against the SU-9. If his shots had landed, then this wouldn't have been a Lambert. Still would have been a good game, but just wouldn't have gotten the Lambert. But that's the strength of this plane. And it's very convenient, because this was my plan to play this plane today. Anyway, it's very convenient that this line is on sale right now. Again, this is all 50% off. This is 30% off. You go from really, really turny fighter planes to really, really turny multi-rolls, but you do lose maneuverability just because you're going to a multi-roll. So keep that in mind when you're first going down this line. But these guns, especially on the tier 9 and tier 10, hit so incredibly hard So I've had previous games, didn't get a Lambert in them, but going against tier 10 bombers, human controlled bombers, and just tearing up Su-10s and tearing up EF-131s. Now keep in mind, you can't just get behind them and tear them up. You attack them from the side, but your guns hit so hard and so quickly that those kind of planes still melt as long as you can find a way to dictate the action. Yeah, I went up against ME-329s in this battle, but you can go against IL-40s and the ME-1099s. Those are the tier 9 ground attack planes, and you will still tear them up, again, as long as you're paying attention to your angle of attack. This is a Japanese fighter, multi-role fighter, so it will catch on fire, it will lose its engine, it's a very fragile machine, very glass cannon-y, is what we'll say. But it's got a lot of cannon to it. And so don't be afraid to use the guns. That's what separates this plane from the other multi-rolls, is these guns hit so incredibly hard. I'm comparing it to the ME-262 at tier 9, and that's because if you just look at the impact of these guns, the biggest difference is going to be the range. You're doing 1,300 damage. Well, keep in mind I've got a boost on this, but you're doing 1,200 damage base on this plane. 1,200 damage a second. That's going to tear up planes pretty darn quickly. You just need to keep in mind your 30mm cannons, so you need to aim further out because they go slower. So, you're not aiming like you're aiming with 20mm cannons. Keep that in mind, or you could get very frustrated by this plane. But this plane is an excellent plane. If you haven't gotten the J7W1s, any of them, J7W1, J7W2, W3, I highly recommend it. And now's the time to do that with the discounts that you've got going on. You definitely want to try to take advantage of that. So I've actually got mine set up with some equipment that is actually a little... it annoys me because it goes against the airspeed, and I'd like to have more airspeed on this plane, but I'm trying to also keep my engine in line. I've maximized, or tried to maximize, the maneuverability on this particular plane. I put the gas-operated action on here, so that way these cannons are firing a little bit quicker. And then you definitely need to go all in when it comes to your accuracy. Otherwise, you're going to be frustrated by this plane's abilities if it's not actually hitting. Because if the cannons aren't hitting, then this plane's you're not doing what it should be doing. As far as consumables is concerned, I have put in the exhaust bleed system, hopefully reducing the catching on fire. I don't catch on fire all that often, and when I do, I'll explain why it's not the end of the world. I've got the pneumatic control assist to help out maneuver some planes when I need to, things like a BVP 212, things of that nature that I might be outmaneuvered by, just barely. I can use the pneumatic control assist and get behind them. And then, of course, I have engine cooling and universal ammo. Now, in my consumables, you might notice I've got a first aid kit. You're saying to yourself, well, you catch on fire all the time. Why do you have the first aid kit? That is because my pilot has a firefighter skill. So the firefighter skill, it extinguishes a fire when you're actively maneuvering, meaning you're dogfighting or you're turning tightly. You should be, you can turn tightly very easily in this plane. If you're being shot at to the point that you're being set on fire, you're probably maneuvering wildly to try to avoid being hit. On my Zeros, on my Keys, on my Jawas, on my Yaks for that matter, I have a firefighter skill. Because those planes catch on fire so often, but you're always dogfighting or turning in them, the firefighter skill comes in very, very handy. Usually have two ticks of fire and then it's out. Sometimes one if you're really, really maneuvering already. Sometimes three if you don't realize you're on fire and you're not really maneuvering yet. But the fire goes out very, very quickly when you've got the firefighter skill. And so that's why, to me, on this plane, the first aid is more important than a fire extinguisher, because first aid puts my pilot back in, which has a firefighter skill. Also, it helps my accuracy on my guns if my pilot gets knocked out. So on this plane and on the Japanese planes, if I have a firefighter skill, I have the first aid dressing, and I highly recommend that as well. I highly recommend this being your first skill on any Japanese plane. Even a plane like this that desperately needs accuracy, and I highly recommend going with the Marksman 1 and Marksman 2 directly after the firefighter, just because the firefighter skill will allow you to stay in the battle a little bit longer, which is always important. So yeah, this is how and then I'm going to Engine Guru on this after this. My next skill points, I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to be going for maneuverability or aerodynamics or Engine Guru 2. Probably aerobatics just to get some more maneuverability, but we'll see. Anyway, so this is the Tier 9 J7W2. Again, take advantage of this line if you can at this point. I'm excited, though, at this point to take a quick look. So we're going to roll this into, not Tier 1, you doofuses. I don't even have the Tier... I don't have... Alright, so here we've got our A6M5. I actually just had to purchase this plane because I didn't have it, which is why I had to purchase this plane. I'm doing something a little weird on this plane, so let's all take a step back and know that this is not how you would normally set this plane up at all. Alright, so here we go. We've got our pilot. This is Akira Akane. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. You get 5 skill points with this pilot right out of the gate. A6M5 Master, you increase the maneuverability and damage inflicted by forward-firing weapons by 10%, only when you're in the A6M5. This is Tier 6 Japanese 0. Alright, cool. So you're increasing the maneuverability by 10%. That got me thinking. Then next, Hunter's Grip. Increased burst length and firing range of the forward-firing armament. So really, combining these two, you're increasing the damage, increasing the burst length, and increasing the firing range by 10%. That's incredible as far as the output that this plane is going to be able to have. As far as its damage is concerned, that is nuts. And on top of that, you're adding 10% maneuverability to a plane that's already incredibly, incredibly maneuverable. That's very, very crazy, right? I used my last skill point on Firefighter because we just had this conversation. I'm not going to explain myself again. But I said to myself, okay, well, that just bumped my maneuverability from, stock at like 96 or whatever it is, 95, to now 105. Yeah, it's not the most turny plane at tier. It's not the maximum turniness that you can have on this plane by any means. But 7.3 turn time is going to be, I think, good enough. We're going to do some experiments on this. What I've actually done is built this plane for speed now. You see I've got speed paint on it. I've put frickin'... again, I just bought this plane, so it's only improved. But I put polished skin on here. And this speed paint gives me 3% more speed, right? I'm going to specialize it, and I'm going to put, speed on the engine and give some more boost on the engine. And obviously I'm going to add maneuverability to the second slot. But I'm going to fool around right now with the airspeed. And the reason being is because I don't need to, in my opinion, with this pilot, she's basically taking the slot of an equipment slot that would give me maneuverability. So instead of using that slot for more maneuverability, I'm going to try to use that slot for speed. The biggest downfall of the Zeros, the biggest frustration that people have with Zeros is Either its altitude performance or its airspeed. Well, I can't do too much about the altitude performance, although raising the airspeed will help me get to higher altitude when I need to from time to time. But just raising the airspeed in general might make this plane less frustrating. We're gonna see. We're gonna check it out, and we're gonna test that out. Again, overall, most people are gonna like maximize maneuverability. I've talked to some people that already have their 0 up to like 123 on their maneuverability scale. It's like a less than 6.5 second turn time. But in reality, like my thought process on that is, that's wonderful. Like you're gonna outturn everything, right? But how often do you need to literally outturn everything? Most of the time, you just need to outturn, 11 out of 12 planes. And that 11th plane has to be another 0 and has to be spec'd and has to be maximized for it to outmaneuver you, right? So the chances of that one plane outmaneuvering you, are kind of hit or miss. Right now it might be kind of high because a lot of people are going to be in their A6M5, but eventually it's going to kind of be redundant. Like whether or not your turn time is 6.3 seconds, or eventually mine's going to probably be like 6.8 once I get this specialized. That half a second turn time isn't going to make or break a random game. It might be frustrating for like one game out of 10, but the majority of games you're going to be the most maneuverable plane on the battlefield. Even right now at my 7.3 turn time, 4 out of 5 times I'm going to be the most maneuverable plane at tier 6. So yeah, I'm going to try to see if I can help with the speed on this and see what we can do. But anyway, so that's and we'll post a video on that at a later time. That is Akira Akane. I'm assuming Akane. I think she's going to make this plane very, very strong. Really, really high damage output. Really, really crazy to me to think that like 10% across the board on damage, firing range, and burst length. That's pretty nuts. We'll see if we can, maximize that. But all right, so we've gotten both the LA5 and the A6M5's pilots on the NA server. Yay! Congratulations, Postal. And we'll see. If I know for the LA5, I can already tell you that was worth the grind. It added a lot of speed to that plane, which wasn't really something I thought I needed. But then once I got it, I realized, oh yeah, this is a much better plane. Even though the LA5 I thought was pretty good to begin with, it's actually been very enjoyable now. Let's see if the A6M5 pilot has that same kind of impact. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me as I kind of meander about when it comes to this particular plane. And I will catch you next time. Hopefully you guys are grinding out this pilot pretty well, and definitely want to grind out this line at this point. Like, this is the time to do it. You can get this pilot and this line on the cheap. Do it, do it, do it.